Jonathan Herps, founder and CEO of ScaleUp GROWTH. Welcome to our business focus series, where I chat with owners, major directors, founders, and business leaders of scaling companies. It centers around their entrepreneurial journey so far and their aspirations for their companies. Today, I'm chatting with Ivan Kaye, who's chairman of the BSI group of companies. Ivan, welcome.
Hi, how are you going?
Very well, thank you. And I'm really looking forward to the conversation, having just spent a bit of time in advance talking. So it's going to be a good conversation. Okay, so let's start. If you can try and summarize, what do you and the BSI group of companies do? How long have you been doing it? And where's your focus?
Okay. Let me try answer that very quickly. My name's Ivan Kaye. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a chartered accountant. And over the years, my main focus is how do I help an entrepreneur, a business owner and leader? How do I help them grow? What can I do to help them grow? And what I found is what they need money to grow their business, whether it's in loan or equity or sales or cash. They need cash. And the second thing they do is as they grow, they need people. And what we found is that as an entrepreneur grows, when an entrepreneur starts his or her business, they're really good at what they do and they're really passionate about what they do. But as they grow, what happens is there's a whole heap of stuff that happens around it. They get more sales, they need more people, they need to get a rent, they need to start having systems. And all of a sudden they spend 80% of their time doing things that they're not so good at. And they wonder why they are not succeeding. So what we decided to do, our model was to say, imagine if we can actually take this stuff away from that entrepreneur and let that entrepreneur focus on what he or she does. And if they do that and we can handle that stuff, that business will thrive. And we can either charge fees or we can charge equity. So what we did is we actually took the decision in the early 2000s to actually take stakes in companies that we believe we could help grow. And that sort of works. And we set up a business called BSI, Business Strategies International, where we would help those entrepreneurs. We would take that stuff away from those entrepreneurs, and we would help them get cash and we'd help them get people. And as a result of that, over the years, we've grown into an accounting, financial planning and mortgage broking and loan business on the one side, helping people get money. And on the other side, we've got a recruiting business, a training business, a recruiting and a training business, and a networking business. So that's how we've evolved over the years. And one of the easiest ways to get cash was getting grants as opposed to giving away equity. So we became specialists in getting government grants, being export grants, R&D tax concessions, and specific grants. And in 2003, the government put forward a proposal where they gave $80 million. There was the dot-com crash. They gave $80 million to 10 companies to invest in startups. And of the 10 companies, we were one of the 10 companies that got $8 million, where we invested in 24 companies.
Right.
That $8 million got over $450 million worth of co-investments. So it was a fantastic, successful venture where we took stakes, and probably 3 or 4 of those companies have become close to unicorns. That was pretty exciting time.
Congratulations. So tell me, how would you, thinking about the different businesses, how would you describe your core customer, your best customer?
It depends on what I do is I help entrepreneurs and business owners get money. That's me. That's what I do. My other business, a training business, will focus on the bigger end of town. I will focus on the entrepreneur and the business owner and leader and human who wants to make sure that their money is looked after. They're getting the best mortgage, they're getting the best rates. And if they need money, what money can they get, and what's the best solution for them? And that's what we do. That's what I do.
Okay. So, we've all been through the pandemic. What are some of the things that you brought into the business during the pandemic that have stuck with the business going forward?
One of the things that was a game changer for us was Zoom. So one of the things that we're passionate about is getting business owners and leaders to connect and collaborate. So one of the things that our businesses grow is through relationships. Do you agree?
Yep.
And the best way to form a relationship, I've sort of thought of the 5 C's, my 5 C's. And that is connection. How do you connect? How do you collaborate? How do you contribute? How do you do that on a continuous basis? So we formed a group of 10 people that we're doing face-to-face meetings on a regular basis with, not too dissimilar to BNI, but less formal. Just how do I get people who want to focus on a specific client base? How do I get them to get together to refer business to each other? And when the pandemic came, we moved from face-to-face meetings to Zoom meetings. And that was a game changer for those entrepreneurs who were part of our network, because it enabled them to not feel that lonely.
And that's absolutely, it's really interesting. I talked a lot with my clients about, what are the key things to be a CEO, and strategy, people, culture, having enough cash, stakeholder management, and finally being on top of technology. And Ivan, before we started the recording, showed me an app he has developed called referron.com, REFERROM.com. Go and have a look at it, which is part of this ecosystem Ivan's built for collaboration. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, it enables you to send your business card within and refer someone to someone that you know, like, and trust within 3 taps.
Yeah, and you showed me how it works, and referred me back to someone I know well. So it's
and it's free.
Yeah, well worth having a look at. So what does the future look like, and what do you see as your main challenges going forward?
What was your first question?
What does the future look like?
I'm pretty excited about the future. I think the future for our children will be different to what our current situation is. Just the same as where we living, how we living today is completely different to how our grandparents and great grandparents lived. So what will the future look like for me or for our children?
For you in the business,
When I think ChatGPT will be a game changer, as was the computer, as was Word, as was Excel, as was Xero for the accounting profession. There'll be changes in technology that will make life a lot easier for people who know how to use it. And I don't think it'll save a lot of time, but it'll enable us to become a lot more productive. I don't think it will replace, it will replace jobs, but it will create many more. So I don't believe that I don't believe that the solution is to say, how do we actually create more jobs where people have to work from 9 to 5? I think that paradigm has changed. I think the distributed workforce coming into the office or the workplace, not 40 hours a week, but when they need to. We have on a Friday, very few people come into our office unless they go out for lunch. It's about using the tools that are necessary to do the job. It's not about the job, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. You know, I and I were talking about ChatGPT before we started the recording, and I was telling him what I've been experimenting today on it, and I was telling you, essentially, I've been building a quiz to help CEOs and founders, grow their business, and what would have taken me weeks, ChatGPT in the space of 2 hours, I'm just looking away at the screen here, and I wrote in, write 10 tweets to promote this quiz, unlock your business growth potential, and 10 of them, which are spot on. It would have taken me a day to do that.
It's quite interesting. My daughter got married last week, and I actually said, write a wedding speech in the vein of the Bob Hawke.
Oh, for Shizky.
And it was outstanding.
Fabulous. I was a CEO at one stage with Bob Hawke, Peter Costello, and Michael Yabsey as my board. It was one of the most special experiences having a board like that. But it's interesting. I think the people who are going to be really successful with, and I don't like the term artificial intelligence. I sort of like the term augmented intelligence. Those of us who jump on and really learn this, and realize that, it is just, it is a tool, but it's a tool, a productivity tool and a knowledge tool that's quite phenomenal. My business is changing dramatically already just in the way we operate, thanks to this augmented intelligence. So there's a hint to everybody. If anybody wants to know more or wants a quick demo of some of the powers, please give me the screen.
And the other thing is, I'm just thinking, a small to medium-sized business, they don't focus on the little things. So I'll give you an example. I have a client who's in business and is looking for $100,000. He has like five investment properties. He's got debt of $3 million. And looking at his finances, he's paying 6.5% on the bank that he's been with for 20 years on $3 million. Having a look at it, I could get him 5.5%, a saving of 1%, which is $30,000 a year, which is $100,000 over 3 years. With the thick of the pencil, as a result of going through his diagnostic, I got him. I had a look at his assets and liabilities, had a look at his financial situation, gave the bank a ring.
Yep.
And his existing bank, with the click of the flip switch to keep his account there, reduced his mortgage by 1%, saving him $30,000 a year with a phone call. What is that worth to that person?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that there was a game changer for him.
Wow. Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's it comes down to that whole concept of knowing your customer and knowing the levers that you could bring to bear.
Right. That's right. And as our friend Alan Moult says,
yes,
about cash flow, in respect of a business, we've got Alan and I have a common mentor called Alan Pathmaraja, and he adopted me. So the most major thing that you can have as a small business, a little hint, is that you need to have a mentor. You need to have a coach.
Yeah,
it's so important. And I understand you're a coach, Jonathan.
I am.
There's a guy called Alan Pathmaraja. He must be well into his 80s now. Alan Watts introduced me to him 20 years ago. And he's based in Singapore. And when I told him what I was doing about connecting entrepreneurs and business owners to leaders, to people and money and how to help them grow, he said, you know, Ivan, I love that because 98% of Singapore is based on SMEs. And if we can help them, we will help our economy. And since then, every Friday for the last 20 years, he's been phoning me at 4 o'clock. And the first thing he'll say to me is, hello, Ivan, how are you? I say, fine. He says, are you balancing your life? And I'll say, Ella, do you want me to balance my life or make money? He says, no, don't worry about balancing your life. Just make money. It's quite funny. And then I was sharing with him about cash flow. I was sharing with him, you know, Alan, I said, our business is really flying. The sales are coming in. Everyone's really happy about the customers and being served and whatever. But, you know, the profit looks like it's there, but my cash is going down the toilet. He says, Ivan, let me tell you something. Revenue, my friend, is vanity. Profit is sanity. But cash flow, my friend, is queen and king. And he says queen first because otherwise my wife will be upset.
And it's absolutely spot on. It's interesting. I mean, one of the key, I mentioned to you earlier, I coach on the basis of strategy, people and culture, operations and execution, cash, stakeholder management, and technology. And the cash, if the organization doesn't have, or the company doesn't have the cash, that's where all the problems come in.
Having cash, whether it's by capital or whether it's by sales, having good cash flow solves a lot of problems.
Absolutely, and particularly now, I've been coaching my clients for years, and like in my business and my multiple businesses, I've got a year's cash always, and that's one of the things I coach my clients. And of course, right now, it's a godsend. And you and I are both of an age that we remember cash rates at 18, 19%. So
we bought our house.
Yeah, and your point about the coach is that's a really, look, this self-promotion, of course, but I have 2 coaches at the moment. I always have a coach, but I think the greatest story I've heard is about a coach in Silicon Valley who coached Steve Jobs and Eric Schultz. So Steve Jobs, Apple, Eric Schultz was the CEO of Google. Coach who coached them both at the same time.
Yeah,
that's a fabulous story. Listen, Nick, next question. What do you think's been your biggest learning since you've become a business owner?
It's a great question. I think that's the greatest learning for me is the requirement to actually have a true north, to actually have a vision, to actually have a direction. Now, it's not about achieving that direction or whatever, but I remember John Maxwell actually talking about it many years ago. John Maxwell's a leadership coach, I'm sure you know.
Absolutely.
He wrote 21 Laws of Leadership, I think.
Yep.
And he was talking about what is success? What is the definition of success? And one of the things that he said is that the people who are successful actually have a vision, have something that they're striving to, having a true north to say, this is what my true north is. Whether it's to help 100 companies, whether it's to make $100 million in your company, whether it's to save the planet, whatever that vision is, if that person has a burning desire to achieve that vision, getting to that vision isn't the success. But what you're doing is you're going along a path to achieve that vision. And those people that are successful will basically every day wake up and say, am I doing something that will get me towards that vision? And if you can actually get your team members to align their visions with your visions, if we can do that, your business will fly. If, for example, you're just doing something to make money, I want to just make money. I don't care how, I just want to make money. Or I need to feed my family. Or I just need to earn a living to pay my rent. What you're doing is you're getting a job. And a job is just over the breadline. And eventually, your job will go. Because the person who's got that vision will continue achieving because he's moving in that direction. Now, whether it goes left or right or whatever, he or she is achieving that direction. And I think that's a major learning. And Alan Patmaraja put it in a very, gave another great piece of advice. I'd love to share that with you if I may.
Yes.
I was doing my business planning, and he said, Ivan, let me tell you something about vision. Vision without action is hallucination. Action without vision is chaos. But vision with action, my friends, is the key to success. And that's so true. Anyway, that's
what I'm absolutely spot on. When you think of the word successful, who comes to mind and why?
my wife.
Okay. Why?
Because she married me.
I would normally say to you, I'll make sure you show this, but maybe I should.
Then to another Alan Patmaraja.
Right.
Alan Wilson's going to actually cry when he watches this video.
Okay, so give me another one. Think of the word successful on one.
You know, to be successful, you've got to be a good leader. And you know what leader means?
Yes.
This is another Alan Patmaraja. L stands for listen. And listen and silence have the same letters. E stands for empathy. You need to actually always focus on the customer, be it your employee or your shareholder or your customer, and you need to sit in their shoes and understand what they feel and what they think. A is attitude. You need to actually have a good attitude because your attitude will determine your altitude. B is you need to be determined and you need to have that true north direction. And E, he says, you need to excite, you need to enthuse, and you need to engage your people. Because if you don't, and if you don't have the passion, you will fail. And what do you think the R is? Resilience. You need, over the course of the year, you'll go up and you'll go down and you'll go up and you'll go down. No one ever goes just up. And if you have the resilience, you'll have the spring that will spring you back up when you're at the down. And if you have that direction and that true north, that will enable you to get that resilience.
I'm going to write a blog on that if you don't mind.
Sure.
I've never heard that before. It's fabulous.
And the other thing that he shared with me says, Ivan, how's your family? And he says, do you know what family means? Say what, Alan? Say what, Ivan?
What item?
I'm glad you asked that question. It's father and mother I love you.
I love it.
And yeah, he's a good man.
I love that. Daniel, thank you. Are you a reader? Do you have any blogs, podcasts you'd recommend?
Yeah, Playboy. No. Cut them out.
I'm going to show this to your wife again.
I love the podcast, the All In podcast, every Friday.
Yep.
Have you heard of it?
No.
There's 4 venture capitalists in Silicon Valley.
Yep.
One is Jason Calacanis, who's a serial entrepreneur. The other is David Friedberg, who's a scientist. The other is David Sachs, who is one of the founders of PayPal and is currently, I think, running PayPal, and on behalf of Elon Musk. And the other guy is Chatham. I can't remember his surname, but they're all billionaires. And it's one of the most popular podcasts now. They talk about world events. They talk about their deals that they do. They talk about where the economy is going. And it's been going for 2 or 3 years now, and they've been spot on. David Sachs is a Republican. Jason is a Democrat. One's extreme left, the other's extreme right. And the fireworks during that hour and a half is sensational. So the All In podcast is great. If you Google BSI BC or venture capital in Australia, that's one of my blogs. I'm a bit of a blogger. I've had the Spark blog. I have the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion blog, focus on diversity, equity and inclusion. And I pretty much write a blog post every day.
Excellent.
And
what's the variance?
One of the other keys to success is you need to know who your customer is.
Absolutely.
If you know who your customer is and try get down to the absolutes, what color is the person's hair, and how does he or she bite their toenails? Know that customer. And once you know who that customer is, or your ideal customer, then spend the time building your world. How many people are in your world? So, and I'd love to do an exercise with you, if I may. I'm going to share my screen. Can I?
Yes, you should
go. And I think
let's give it a go.
I'm going to go to my LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So my LinkedIn, can you see my screen?
No. Oh, wait, coming up now. Yep.
So I'm going to my LinkedIn. Oh, hang on. So my LinkedIn has grown from in the last 5 years from 2,000 to 30,000. So I must have, I don't know how many people, you can pretty much see it now, 34,000 followers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an example, and anybody can do this, and this is going to be a game changer for a lot of people.
Okay.
Give me an example of who your ideal customer is.
I can tell you exactly who they are.
Okay, tell me.
So a founder, CEO, entrepreneur, of a company with between 10 and 200 staff.
Yep. And in which industry?
I'm industry agnostic as a coach.
Why ideally?
Yeah. Well, ideally, no. Actually, I am industry agnostic. For me,
but give me an example of typical manufacturing.
Oh, look, I have my current client base, manufacturing, wholesaling, wholesale sales, I have.
And it's specifically in food or clothing or
You can pick whatever. I mean,
give me one. Give me one.
Um, uh, electrical wholesale. We'll give you one example.
Okay. So I'm going to now that you've now defined an ideal customer base, and you want it to be in Australia, yeah?
Yes. Well, in fact, well, yes. Go with Australia. Yep.
Going to go to New South Wales?
Yep.
All right. Let's go.
Or Greater Sydney, if you like something like that.
I've got one result. Let's just do wholesale computers. What's your results? Let's just put CEO. I've got 774 people who are CEOs of wholesalers of, let's just put electrical. I've got 407 people who are CEOs of electrical companies from LinkedIn. Anybody can do this. So you can now go to Simon Baines, research him. That's good. He's an experienced CEO working for Imelco. He's worked for electrical wholesalers. He'd be an ideal person. Great. I'm going to message him. I'm going to send a message, or not even send a message. I'm actually going to invite him to connect, and I'm going to add a note, and I'm going to say, I would like to refer you to someone who specializes in electrical in electrical who? In helping CEOs of electrical companies. Send. So he's going to get that now. It's cost me nothing to do. I can send that to 774 people. And it's an example of what I'm going to send.
So, I mean, if you can just stop sharing for that, please. I want to focus back on you.
Okay.
So it's interesting, you asked me who my core customer is. Okay. So, and if you think about the purpose of this blog, the purpose of this podcast is helping CEOs, entrepreneurs, founders of scaling companies to grow their business by tapping into people like you who are successful entrepreneurs. So the way I do that is, well, and in my case, one of the key lessons for me as a CEO and founder or CEO is focus on what my unique abilities are. And my unique ability, and that is what I'm good at and what I love doing. So one of my unique abilities is actually having these conversations. Another one is coaching my clients. But everything else is I delegate. It's that concept of who, not how. Find the who first.
You will refer that person on.
Yeah. So, Vlad, who is one of my assistants, who's Vladimir, of all things, is a Filipino, based in the Philippines. So Vlad, using my account, reaches out to people like you. The reason you and I are having this conversation right now is because you are, in fact, a core best customer of mine. So we've reached out using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, using that criteria. Yeah. CEO, founder, managing director of a private company in Australia, 200 staff, and we've reached out and we connect with you, and then
that there's available to every.
Exactly right.
Actually know who your customer is.
Correct. And it is one of the most, and it's also then knowing what the customer is, who the customer is, but it's also working out what you're going to do with them.
Here's the other secret.
Yeah.
is they don't want to be sold to.
Correct.
So if your ideal customer is a CEO of electrical stuff, what is something that will engage them, excite them, and enthuse them? What would they want to be engaged by? So, for example, there might be someone like a Bill Gates or Obama who's coming with the growth faculty to Australia in March or April. Maybe you need to say, listen, I thought this may be of interest to you. Obama's coming in. We have 3 free tickets or whatever. Would you be interested in seeing something or blah? We've got someone talking who specializes in electrical things. We're going on a boat on the harbor with 15 fellow CEOs of electrical blah de blah. Would you be my guest? Without selling them anything.
No, exactly right. And that your referral app that you showed me earlier is a great example of that. Offering collaboration, offering something of value, and as you say, it costs nothing. Alex, I'm just aware of the time, and I promise our listeners that we try and stick with 30 minutes. I think we're over. So, look, any last piece of advice or parting words for an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur?
Yep. Buy low, sell high, and be kind to your mother.
Great advice. Now, how can they? We'll have all your contact details in the notes. But referral, etc. I mentioned refeRRON.com. Anything else you'd like to offer out there that?
Yeah, I'm more than happy. If you go to bsifinance.com.au, that's me.
Yep.
bsifinance.com.au. I'll share my screen if I may.
Yep.
And I'll put it there. 1 second.
We will. Ivan, we'll put the contact details in.
That's it. That's me. And boom, it's easy.
Perfect. Thank you. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Well, make sure that you snip all the Playboy things out.
Great speaking to you.
The best.
I'll have to get invite Alan Mills to come on this as well. We'll do compare and contrast.
I want to do something, if I may. While I'm on this, just hang on. I'm going to call him right now and see what happens. This will be hilarious.
Now, he probably doesn't remember my name.
But all right, doesn't matter. You can hear it. Hello, Mr. Alan Patmaraj. Who's that? Alan Patmaraj or Alan Mills? If you certainly imagine, ardently desire,
Mills,
believe, and enthusiastically act on, success is inevitable. There you go. And Alan, I just want to ask you, tell me about vision. Vision without action is hallucination. Action without vision is chaos. And what about action with vision? Action with vision is success.
beautiful. I love it.
That's your attitude and that's your empathy that helps you achieve your altitude in life.
I love it.
Now, I'm using it in all my talks. It's like all take a pen and paper and they write it down.
I love it. How are you?
Good, and you? Good. I'm now. I'm on a call with a guy called Jonathan Herps. Do you remember Jonathan?
I remember.
He was a scale-up coach with Verd, and he thinks you are amazing, and he thinks that you are the cash flow king. Is that correct? And I showed him my tools from 10x, and he said that we should get together and collaborate. I said, I know Alan quite well. What is he doing now, Jonathan? What are you doing?
Me now? I'm interviewing Live and Kaye on a podcast.
Sorry? He's interviewing me on a podcast. That could be the quickest interview ever.
No, I don't think so.
You can write in 5 minutes.
You've been mentioned 3 or 4 times, Alan, so that says something.
Enjoy. I look forward to getting. Cheers, Al.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Ivan, thank you so much.
All the best.
Yeah, I look forward to chatting soon.
Cheers, bye.